I came into business when my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer and she was facing a really challenging battle and what seemed like a choice between her money and her life. And so I stepped into her business to help her, give her the space to focus on her health. I realized a few more things about money and business that led me into this work. One was that if you have no cash flow, you have no business. And so that was kind of the real pinnacle point where I was like, we can't carry on like this, but also for all of the money, time and energy we'd spent learning about business, why was nobody talking about this particular topic? So at first I got the rage and then I decided to actually be the change that I wanted to see, and that's part of the reason why I do what I do today.
What does it take to build a 7-figure business with just a laptop and an internet connection? Now, you may think of your typical internet bro that's hanging out in Bali, taking a dip in the pool after only working 4 hours that week. But that's not the case for Yinka Awala. She's a self-made entrepreneur based out of the UK with what you would think all odds stacked against her. However, she made it her mission and her promise, seeing how her family members struggled with their own businesses, setting out to help entrepreneurs and specifically business women impact their businesses through an end-to-end business coaching program. And the crazy part is she's built the bulk of her revenue and her audience through LinkedIn, a relatively untapped potential for so many online business coaches and consultants. Now, I've learned a ton from Yinka, and I know that you will too, but a few of the things that I want you to take away from this video, and you have to watch it to the end, are how to build and structure your business the right way. Mindset is not enough. Let's dive right in to my interview with Yinka. Okay, Yinka, first of all, this isn't necessarily a formal interview, but it is kind of an opportunity for me to get to know you a little bit more. Now, we met through Chris's cohort, Chris Donnelly. You and I have been invested in this, what seems to be a 10, now really was 12-week intense boot camp in learning the tricks and trades and strategies to not just grow a LinkedIn brand and presence, which you already have and mastered wonderfully, by the way, but to be able to continue to kind of expand your reach, reach new customers, clients potentially, and leverage your personal brand in new ways. But before diving into your work and the impact that you're making, I'd love to hear a little bit about the beginning of your journey as an entrepreneur. What initially inspired you to pursue business on your own terms?
A few things. So first of all, I would say that I am very much an accidental entrepreneur in that I didn't really imagine being an entrepreneur growing up. Like, I didn't know the word, but I am Nigerian by heritage, and there is a long history of female entrepreneurship, not only in our family, but in our culture. So Yoruba women are, they're the heads of commerce. They run the markets. They're the money people in the society that I come from. And so it was always part and parcel of my kind of lived experience to think about my own agency as it relates to money, which ultimately entrepreneurship is part of. And so even growing up, I watched my parents, two of the hardest working people I have ever known, work really, really hard. Come to the UK, leave everything that they knew from Nigeria to come to the UK to create a better life for their family. Unparalleled courage and unparalleled work ethic. But I saw them working hard and not receiving commensurate fruits for their labor. So that was kind of, there were a series of family events from, my mum's illness, my father's stress and other, mental health challenges that made me realize an initial truism that money doesn't really care about hard work in the way that we had been taught. So they were the seeds that we kind of dropped very early in my journey. I saw, as I said, hard work not resulting in commensurate reward. So as is common with Nigerian people, we went the education route. I have an older sister who is a doctor. And as a Nige kid, you basically have very few career choices. You can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, engineer, maybe an accountant, or you can be a disgrace to the family. Like they are your career options as it relates to, bringing, honor to your family. Now, my sister is a doctor. I was supposed to be a lawyer. I discovered really early on that that wasn't going to happen. But because they're all very professional routes, I went the academic route. So coming out of university, I made a decision that I didn't want to be poor, as nobody really does. But I wanted to understand money. So I went into investment banking. And it was through my time at investment banking that I realized a second kind of truism, which is proximity to money doesn't equate to mastery of money. Like I was surrounded by people who spent more on lunch than I, earned in a month. And yet there was so much fear, there was so much attachment, there was real misery around an abundance of money. And I realized that that wasn't how I wanted to interact with money. But I came into business when my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer and she was facing a really challenging battle and what seemed like a choice between her money and her life. And that wasn't a decision. That wasn't a choice I was willing to watch her even have to choose on. So I stepped into her business to help her, give her the space to focus on her health. And I was like, I know finance. How hard can this business thing be? They are the most famous of all last words because business is hard as hell, even when you know finance. And I realized a few things in that particular instance. First thing to say is that my mom kicked cancer's butt. She's healthy and well with us today, and I'm so grateful for that. But I realized a few more things about money and business that led me into this work. One was that if you have no cash flow, you have no business. My mum's business was award-winning. It was incredibly impactful. It, changed the lives of millions of kids all around the world. And yet she was this close to going out of business because she was in a position where the cash position was getting so low. She needed to make payroll. She needed to pay taxes. And none of the other things, the clients, the staff, the offices, the awards, the reputation, the logo, the brand spirit animal, none of that made a difference. The difference between the business carrying on or not was the cash in the bank. And so that was kind of the real pinnacle point where I was like, we can't carry on like this. But also for all of the money, time and energy we'd spent learning about business, why was nobody talking about this particular topic? So at first I got the rage and then I decided to actually be the change that I wanted to see. And that's part of the reason why I do what I do today.
I love that. You shared a lot in terms of your overall journey and kind of just basic frameworks, but I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into it so people can get an understanding of exactly what it is that you do, why it is that you do it, how it is that you do it, so on and so forth. But for starters, I don't think I've given you the opportunity to really highlight some of the major accomplishments that you've been able to share within the cohort. I mean, there were days that we were on calls with, a group of, 20, 30 of us, and you just, kind of just say that, hey, I just collected, tens of thousands of pounds or dollars in cash this day as if it was almost like Monopoly money. Like, so I like where does your business stand right now? And what are some of these major accomplishments that you've been able to accomplish, even just within the last year?
So yeah, this year, as someone who, as I said, always took the academic route, I wanted to know what my chances were as it related to business. And businesses run by women, less than 10% of them ever make six figures. So I was like, okay, that's going to be my first goal. Like, I'm going to make a business that hits 100,000 as a minimum in a year. And I did that in the very first year of my business. So this year I set the even more ridiculous goal of achieving seven figures in my business, which again, for businesses run by women is less than, for us in the UK, it's less than 1%. For businesses run by Black founders, the average for us in the UK revenue on an annual basis is £25,000. So that's like 40 times average. And yeah, it was a ridiculous goal. And yeah, we are, at time of recording, it's December. But we're about to hit that target of £1 million in sales this year. And I feel really blessed as well as proud. I feel proud because I've worked hard, and I've worked hard in terms of being my own first client. So I build my business the way I teach my clients to build theirs. I take what I call a cash flow approach to business, which means that I'm not here to focus on the impact. I'm not here to focus on I'm here to focus on the cash. And that's how I run my business. That's what I teach my clients. And that's enabled me to, build this coming into seven-figure business. I work 4 days a week. So I don't work on Fridays. I don't work the weekends. I am a mom of 3. I'm a wife of 1. I have a very full non-business related life because I refused to buy into the either or story. My mantra this year has been rich and rested. So I wanted to build a business that created actual cash in the bank wealth, as well as enabled me to have a holistic and well-being frame in the work that I'm doing. And so, because I have a cash flow approach to business, I have a suite of offers helping women to create consistent and increasing and abundant cash flow in their businesses. I work with companies who want to adopt a cash flow approach across their business and create a culture of real respect and mastery around money. And I've done all that without actually having a website, which is something that people are always really surprised to hear, but was something I was really excited to talk more about and to prove, because certainly not in my industry. This is not true in every industry, but I think there's a lot of bait and switch around business knowledge and information. And I've come into 7 figures in sales. That's not cash in the bank, and it's important to distinguish between the two. But 7 figures in sales, working 4 days a week, no website.
My goodness, that's incredible. You touched on a few things that I think are important to highlight. You've become known for helping women build sustainable businesses. Let's just start there, focusing on what truly moves the needle. So what key principles do you believe are most critical for women to understand when they're just starting out?
It's such a great question. And the first thing I would say, and it may be counterintuitive, but the first principle I would really love women to understand is that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I don't believe everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. I speak to women who are like, oh my God, I hate sales, and I hate the things that absolutely are needed to make a business successful. Now, some of that is a mindset thing, and we as women have been, very, we'd imbibe that good girl conditioning of, be small, be cute, be quiet. And so a lot of the relationship that we as women have been socialized into around money isn't very beneficial for success in entrepreneurship. That said, if you hate, as in to the core of your bones, if you hate the things that it takes for a business to be successful, then don't run a business. Or run a business and go outsource and find those people who can do that for you. But in order to do that, you are going to need cash, which brings me to the kind of the pinnacle and headline flashing neon sign principle of business success, which is no cash flow, no business. There is no business if you have no cash flow. It doesn't matter how many awards you have, how many fantastic clients you have, how many brilliant recommendations you have. It doesn't matter what color your logo is, how fabulous your content is. None of that overrides what I call the queen metric. And the queen metric is, do you have cash in the bank to come in tomorrow and fight another day? And that's the thing, that the business failure rates are the stats are so depressing. 90% of businesses go out of business in 5 years or less. That's businesses run by men and women. That's businesses that receive funding and who bootstrap. That's businesses who are brick and mortar and digital. That's businesses who, their founders left school, without a qualification, and founders who have MBAs and PhDs. 90% in 5 years. And the thing is, it's easy to think of that as a number, but behind every one of those started businesses are hopes and dreams and confidence and self-belief. And so, that's something that is very easily gets me into a rage, because the business development industry is a $1 billion industry. Billions of dollars are being spent every single day by people wanting to grow and build. They want to grow their businesses and they're not focused on the right things. And the challenge when it comes to cash flow, you can't outgrow a cash flow issue. Ask Lehman Brothers, ask Avon, ask Tupperware, ask WeWork. These are some of the biggest brands of their generations, and they're all out of business today because they ran out of cash.
Gosh, it's so true. I want to get back to, the cash flow question here because, at the end of the day, these are basic fundamental principles of running businesses, yet most people miss the mark when it comes to running a business, and that's cash flow. But you've also spoken about common advice like focus on impact and the income will follow as misleading, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. Can you share why that perspective might hold, whether it's women or just business owners in general, back, and what approach you recommend instead?
Yeah, I'll answer it back to front. So what I recommend is you focus on the cash. You focus on the cash. You don't even focus on the sales, because a sale is a promise. And until you've got that cash in the bank, I've seen sales fall through. In my own business, I've had someone say yes and then say no. Oh my goodness. People be peopling. People change their minds. And so until that cash is in the bank, that's not cash in the bank. You can have sales and not have cash. And so the reason why focus on impact and the income will follow is false. Not only is it false, but it's like visibly false. Like if you were to think across society at some of the most impactful roles that we have, teachers are literally nurturing and nourishing the next generation. Why are they not the best paid in our society? You think about doctors, like heart surgeons that hold people's beating hearts in their hands. Incredible impact. They are not the best paid in society. So impact, the idea that income has a direct and linear proportion to impact is not how life works. If life did work that way, then yeah, absolutely focus on the impact and then the income will follow. But income doesn't follow. Income follows the rules of income. And therein lies the point, because what we are taught is to, and again, this is where the work that I do around mindset, because I take a holistic approach to money. One of the biggest misconceptions about my work is that my work is financial. And it's not that it isn't financial, it's that money is the least of things that money is financial. Money is energetic. Money is emotional. Money is relational. It's social. And, if you were to give it a percentage, like only 7% of cash or money in the world is actually in physical format. And so, there are clues everywhere about the truth, but we're just not focusing on it, or we are purposely avoiding it because it comes up against the things we've been told. We've been told that if you focus on money, money changes people. Money turns, good people bad. You should focus on your values. You shouldn't focus on money. And again, it's a fallacy, because if they are truly your values, you wouldn't be focusing on them. You would be looking from them. Your values are your skin. They're not your clothes. You don't get to take them off when they're inconvenient. They are with you all the time. And so any values that you are having to focus on, you're focusing on them because they are not automatic to you. So they're not actually your values yet. And so these are some of the principles that we have to, first of all, have the awareness of, because it's only when you have awareness. The saying goes that awareness gives you choice and choice gives you freedom. And so is the first role is awareness. And then the second is decision. Because again, this one was James Baldwin, but not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. And we have to focus and face up to our story and our relationship around money.
Gosh, so many cool, good nuggets here of wisdom. Yinka, I want to touch on a little bit, you've kind of answered preemptively some of my questions that I had lined up for you. So I want to kind of redirect our conversation a little bit about how it is that you're finding, your clients, right? So basically, walk me through the journey of your, typical student, how they come to find out about you, and what is it that they're looking to get out of that transformation, so to speak, and what is it that makes them, sign to your particular, whether it's program or coaching or products, like what is that journey like?
So I do use organic content. That was the reason why, we came into that space together. I use my content as a funnel. I use content as gravity to draw people not only to my ideas and insights, but to the ideas that I have as, as a woman, as a Black woman, as somebody who is passionate about, financial independence, freedom. That's my form of activism. And I take that role very, very seriously. I, very much focus on money as a tool for transformation. So money is about being resourced and is about enabling you. I talk about it being an amplifier. So money enables you to demonstrate more of what you want to create in the world. And so these are ideas that are very, as I said, confronting. There are many people who do not agree with my ideas, and some of them slide into my DMs to say so. But, I call women into my spaces. And depending on where I am in the cycle, I often do events, free or low cost paid events to give women the understanding around the truth around money. And I say the truth because part of the reason why so many people want to avoid the money conversation is because they have been missold the idea that money is going to make them safer or happier. And the thing is that safety doesn't come from money. Safety comes from ourselves. And so my work in the first instance is about a re-understanding and a relearning of our own agency and power and our own identity, and therefore applying that to the acquisition of cash. And so I'm not I don't work with my clients to say, get more money, be more anything, except wealthier or richer in the bank. But what I do help my clients to understand is that you are your own source of safety. You are the most powerful person in your world. You are the needle mover. And so once you understand that, and you understand that money doesn't work the way that we've been taught, it doesn't take a long time to create money. You can create money every day if you have the right offers and, systems and structures in order to create that. And then, that's the work that I help with. You can have a business that collects cash every day. You can have a business that fuels your dreams. And that for me is, using my content, sharing that message, enabling women to step into either coming to work, into sales calls or, having, slice of life opportunities through masterclasses, challenges, webinars, any of those kind of smaller events to get an opportunity to see what it's like working with some of my zany methods. Just enabling women to recognize that, they're not investing in me, they're investing in themselves. They're not, I always say, I want women, I want everyone to win in business, but specifically, I want women to win in business. It does not have to be with me. And that's the reason why I invest so much in my content, because more people will engage in my content than will ever touch or see my programs. And so it's important to me that I put out good quality insights and I really support the improvement of knowledge and education because a rising tide lifts all the ships.
I love how you're leveraging organic content to nurture your audiences, bring them into your ecosystem, unlock the chains or break the chains, so to speak, of these money misconceptions and myths. But it sounds like you're also, doing these webinars and kind of just, selling, so to speak, not on a one-to-one basis, but on a one-to-many basis. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. But from what I've heard, you've run these webinars and you're signing people left and right on these live webinars. Can you walk us through a little bit about that? Because I'm genuinely interested.
Absolutely. I have So there are a couple of different formats. You've got masterclasses where we might focus on a specific topic. Of the webinars or I have what I call boost camps. They are not misspelt. I kind of feel like there's enough of society in the world like giving women the boot. So I wanted to make sure I was giving women a boost. But yeah, if you're coming into a masterclass, you're there to hear a different perspective on the topic. If you're coming into, a workshop or a challenge, you're coming to do some work. And, I've had situations, whether it's a Kickstarter. I did a Kickstarter challenge last January, and this January there'll be another, where women were given the opportunity to make some cash in a week. The women in the program, again, it was just a 7-day thing. There was, I think, almost £200,000, dollars, euros of cash created in 7 days. And for so many of those women, that was the first time that they saw their own power in relation to cash. We have a learned helplessness position around money because we have been socialized and trained to be employees. So we don't know how cash comes in. We are just paid by like clockwork every month. So what does that teach us? It teaches us that there's a disconnect between any of our efforts and decisions and the money that we make. It teaches us that money automatically appears. It also teaches us, though, that if you worked really hard this month and you did nothing next month, you're still making the same amount of cash. Now, the fact is, and the truth is, that money and work are actually not necessarily related because, the person that cleans Jeff Bezos' house works way harder than Jeff Bezos, and yet they earn very differently. So there is a disconnect. But the idea that it is completely disconnected to all your decisions and all your actions and all your behaviors is false. And so, we've been socialized into a poor relationship with money, and therefore we are seeing poor results around money. And so the opportunity to come into those spaces and to experience money more like its true nature it just gives women a little glimmer of what is possible. And, my intention is, if you give me your most precious resource, which is your time and your attention, if you give me your time and attention for 90 minutes, I want you walking out of there going, oh my gosh, if that's what happened in 90 minutes, imagine what happens if I spend, 12 weeks, 12 months, whatever, working with her. Imagine what I'll create. Imagine what I'll know. If you come in for 7 days, I want you to be in a position where you're like, oh my gosh, if this is what we did in 7 days, imagine what we would get done in 365 days. So I really want to support the de-risking process because we have an erroneous understanding of risk as it relates to money, and it doesn't serve us. But more often than not, we're worried about the cost of moving forward when we're already paying the price of standing still. And so it's really about helping women to understand what it gets to look like when they back the most important person in their own world, which is themselves.
Gosh, I love that. This is a masterclass in and of itself, Yinka, and I feel like you're already roping me, and I'm sure a lot of the people that listen to this in its full context into your programs. I mean, I definitely want to learn more from you in that regard. But let's talk about we've talked about where you've been. We've talked about where you are. I want to hear about where you're headed. Where's Yinka in the next couple years? Where's your business? Where are you at?
I loved this question so much, and I really thank you for asking it because I'm very much, as someone who spent a long time living in the past and then worried about the future, I've spent a lot of time recently living in the present and really kind of getting my head down on this goal. So it was lovely to think about the bigger picture and my bigger desire. So one of my biggest desires is, as I said, seeing women win in business, seeing, Black founders, founders who are dealing with sustainability, social justice. I am passionate about creating a difference in the world, but I'm not going to be able to get to everything and do everything. So it is my intention to be a very different type of angel investor. And I'm putting together and that's the thing. Once you have the cash, you can do what you want to do. So I'm really passionate about not it's not just about investing in the business for a return. I don't, the VC landscape, I've got such strong feelings about it because it is really broken. And honestly, we treat our animals better than we treat our founders. Like, it is such a ravaging, destructive, exploitative experience for so many founders. And yeah, it doesn't leave them with a good experience of business building or having people come alongside them to really care about what happens to the business and their vision. So I'm really excited about my angel investing journey. I've been investing in companies here and there all this while. I'm definitely going to be building a portfolio, potentially leading, cap tables and things like that. But I want to invest, but I want to invest in a way that enables me to invest in things that I care about and businesses that I care about, but also nurture and care for the founder. Like Rich and Rested, I said it before, I'll say it again, is very much a mantra that is close to my heart. And so it would be hypocritical of me to have that for me and make it my own preserve, but not actually really support other founders to have that experience in their own businesses as well. So the angel investing piece is really exciting to me. I have really strong feelings about the education system. And that's from, early child, development all the way through to business development. As I said, business development is $1 billion industry in most of the Western and English speaking nations. And businesses are going out of business at a rate of 90% in 5 years. So the system is broken, and I am always the things that enrage me. I'm a real big fan of sacred rage. So the things that upset me, I'm very focused on being the change. And there is a problem right now with the avoidance of the conversation of money. There's a problem right now with driving everyone to think about money as solely or predominantly financial, when money is so much more the other things. It's so much more energetic. It's so much more emotional and relational. And these are the things that are the linchpin. You fix those areas and the financial experience and expression of money just, absolutely takes care of itself. And so I'm really passionate about the education piece. And I see myself, in a couple of different ways, really kind of supercharging the education that I'm offering in different formats, because I don't ever want people to feel like they need to choose between their health and their wealth or their money and their life, the way that my mum kind of felt like she had to. So, the education piece is really part of what I'm passionate about. The angel piece is what I'm passionate about. And then the other piece is really about, my kids and my family. I'm a mom. I've got 3 sons. My sons always have so much chagrin that my business is focused on women. Given that at the moment, I didn't say at the moment because I've got kids coming, by the way. At the moment, I don't have any daughters. Like, when they get married, I'll have daughters, but, I'm not going to have any daughters of my own. But there's a lot to be said in terms of my role as a mother, raising, they have the most remarkable role model in their father. But what they are seeing of me as a mom, as a woman, as somebody pursuing their dreams beyond, making a home, is really important about the kinds of men that they're going to grow up to be. And so I have some insights around, motherhood, and, the raising of sons by women. I feel like the toxic masculinity conversation is masking a deeper conversation, which is about the role of parenting in creating these, future men. And so that is also something I'm really passionate about, and is going to be some of what I'm going to be spending my time on in the next 3 to 5.
Gosh, well, I could listen to you for hours, Yinka, but I want to keep it brief and short because ultimately I want people to digest enough to then go to your socials, to go to your LinkedIn, to go to your profiles, and really take a deep dive into who you are, what you're about, what you offer, and more importantly, you bring people hella cash. And so I love that saying. I love the fact that that's what you're about and what you help other founders do as well. Yeah, Yinka, I would love to just hear some parting words for, anyone listening, and more importantly, some actionable takeaways that they can start implementing today, if you don't mind sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that, because ultimately it's the work that works. So I'm really about people taking action. So number one is asking yourself the question, how do I feel about money today? It seems really basic and really simple, but it will tell you so much. And it will tell you so much because ultimately we behave in line with our beliefs. And so understanding what we are believing will show us why we're doing what we're doing. So understanding and beginning that conversation is incredibly powerful. Number two is get closer to your money. Like actually, pick up your phone, it's surgically attached for most of us. Open your banking app. Have a look at the numbers in there and see how that feels. See what story you are telling yourself about yourself because of the numbers you're seeing. If you are seeing, numbers that aren't high enough for you, why? What are you saying about? Does that mean that you see yourself as helpless? You see yourself as failing? You see yourself as, an unworthy? What is going on about as you get closer to your money? What is it telling you about yourself? That kind of takes care of the mindset piece of the practicals. In terms of the skill set piece, which is the second pillar, understanding that there are very few things that bring cash into a business. There are only two things. And asking yourself, A, are you doing those things? B, are you any good at those things? Like, I spend a lot of time helping people to distinguish between action and impact. Like, we always want to give ourselves this giant gold star because I did the things. But the truth of the matter is you can't do the things and not get the results. So if you ain't getting the results, you ain't doing the things. And it really is as simple as that. The beautiful thing about that, as harsh as it sounds, is once you learn the things and once you learn how to do them well, honestly, the money is inevitable. It follows law. Money follows law the same way that gravity follows law. It is a universal law. It works how it works. And if you get it right, you get it right. And if you don't, you don't. It's not moral. It doesn't go to the good people. It doesn't go to the bad people. It goes to the people who understand it and understand the rules. So if you are interested, great. But what you are going to need to be to really see change in your life is you need to be committed. And the definitions that my mentors and coaches are giving to me is that if you are interested, you will do what is convenient. But if you're committed, you will do what it takes. And the thing is, you're going to want to do what it takes because ultimately it comes into the next pillar, which is around the habits. You can grit and grind and hustle and hassle your way to money. Of course you can, but you don't have to. And the thing is, we only get one world and precious life. Time is that non-renewable resource that you're not going to get back. And so learning the skills that you need and then taking action habitually, little and often, I'm in all the things that I've said to you in terms of the way that I'm running my business, I've coalesced to be able to do the cash flow pieces, 60 to 120 minutes each day. So 1 to 2 hours a day is the time that I dedicate in my business to do the cash flow pieces. And then even if I don't do anything else, I can go off and live my life and do the things. But I have to decide if I'm committed to the result. And if I'm committed to the result, then I need to do what it takes. And so getting those habits in line, and as I said, those pillars are the mindset pieces, the skill sets for improved actions, and the habits so that you are focused on automaticity, you're focused on systems, you're focused on making it more easeful for yourself. That is what is going to enable you to create, and like I said, the rapid transformation. When I started this version of my business and this work, just 3.5-4 years ago, I was in debt up to my eyeballs. I had none of this knowledge or information. This glow up, it's definitely not an overnight success because, as I said, I'm one of those people who commits like a nutter. So, when I said I was going to post daily on LinkedIn, when I started, back in March 2020, I've posted every single day on LinkedIn. I've never missed one day. Not Christmas Day, not New Year's Day, not my birthday. And so, that's my commitment because I've got my mission and because I want to help as many people as possible. And so it's really about enabling you to lean into your commitments for your mission so that you can, do what it is that you want to do. But there's some of the more practical starter points that I hope will help people to get going in this area.
Gosh, well, I know that you'll be having challenges along the way. And so once we air this episode of kind of my podcast and just, get to showcase your expertise and share your story, I'll definitely link whatever challenge or, any sort of link that's appropriate for the time for our audiences to see. So, Yinka, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, thank you for sharing so many wonderful insights. I hope that people are able to take them and implement them today.
Thank you so much for having me, Nico. I appreciate it.